What's up, Godzilla fans? GoJR54 here, and today's video is actually going to be on Godzilla in 2016. Now, recently there was an article released talking about Godzilla 2016, and the director promises he's king of the monsters, will be the most terrifying yet. So immediately, this was like awesome, because we've never really seen a terrifying Godzilla, except for the two that were on my mind immediately when I saw this. The first one being Godzilla 1954, of course, and the second one being GMK. Now, which do I think is scarier, real quick? I think 1954 by far. Now, GMK, even though he targets the humans deliberately, and stuff like that, even though he destroyed that hospital with the little girl in it and, shot at the people, I just don't think he's that scary because he looks scary. He looks aggressive, I think, is actually the better word for it. But what I think really kind of destroys that scariness or terrifyingness to him is that he's surrounded in this movie where it's so caught up in a basically just mythos, mythology with King Ghidorah, Mothra, and it kind of takes you out of that terrifyingness approach to it, and it just puts you in this almost fairy tale like thing, this very spiritual reality type thing. While in the 1954 movie, this movie is just already dark and gritty because it wasn't supposed to be a monster movie per se. It was supposed to be about a movie representing the basically horrors of nuclear holocaust, and I think that's what makes Godzilla 1954 so much scarier. So right off the bat, you can make him as aggressive looking as you think, but I think that the way they should do it first off, and the way I think they're actually doing it, I also read, is that they're going to basically touch up the design of the 1954, which I think is one of the most terrifying looks Godzilla's ever had also, just because of how sinister he looks, really. I mean, even the eyes, as silly as they are, in the movie, it's like, they just look horrible, it's so terrifying. Okay, but I also want to talk about how I think they should make him act terrifying. Now, the first thing, he deliberately has to attack humans. That's a must, really. So, I mean, like the GMK. There's good qualities or terrifying qualities in the GMK. It's just not executed as it should have been. I like the scene where he looks down the nuclear, or when he looks down at the people in the market and he shoots the atomic breath. I really like that scene, actually. I think it really represents how horrifying this Godzilla is. But I think they should up the ante a bit, because in the original 1954, there was a scene kind of like that where he looked over the building, he saw the cops, but what I think was even more terrifying is that instead of this, huge beam, he literally shoots radiation. That's what I think is really terrifying about him. It's not like a concentrated beam, it's radiation coming from his mouth, and the people burst into flames, and I was like, what? That's terrifying crap right there. That's what I think they should be doing. That sense of horror, because if they want to make a horror-ish type Godzilla movie, they shouldn't make it all sci-fi-ish. Well, they have to, but have more horror qualities and sci-fi qualities, I guess you could say, with the atomic breath. Because in the Showa movies, the atomic breath, in Heisei movies, the Millennium movies, I think the scariest by far is the original 1954. But yeah, also though, I really think this is one I'm kind of reserved about, but think about it. Godzilla's never eaten people, but if he eats people in this movie, my jaw will drop. I will be like, what? And I still don't know how I feel about this, so it's kind of a hard choice. Maybe if he doesn't deliberately eat people, if he's trying to target them, but they fall into his mouth. For example, basically imagine Godzilla's looking into a building and he tries to take a chunk out of the building. But what I think would be cool is that if his teeth are so big, is if one of them just goes straight through a guy's body and he gets dragged out of the building and falls into his mouth or something like that. That's what I think how it could be terrifying, because I don't really like the idea of Godzilla eating people, but if they want to make this terrifying, I think that would be terrifying, really. And another thing that I want to see, though, is people struggle. I want to see it almost like the Cloverfield perspective. But what I think, here's a scenario I have in my mind. Imagine this, a whole group of survivors are running from Godzilla, and then all of a sudden this huge, an avalanche of just debris fall down, and then this guy gets his leg crushed under it, and Godzilla sees him, and he's like, I'm coming after you. He's seething with anger, and you see like Godzilla's charging at him, and the guy has to decide, what do I do? My foot's not gonna come out, so do I cut my foot off or something like that, or do I just let it happen? Something like that. I want like the adrenaline to rush, the tension to build, stuff like that. If you want to make this Godzilla terrifying, that's what you have to do. Now, whether he cuts his leg off or he dies, either one I'm fine with, But I think that would just be a very tension-filled scene that they should have, something like that. It doesn't have to be exactly like that, but I think something like that would be like terrifying. I just want that almost like Jurassic Park type tension and suspense. I also want this Godzilla to be not exactly like sneaky, but I want him to be like shrouded in darkness basically. So like let's say he destroys the generator, he destroys like a power generator and all the lights goes off and people are trying to run away and they don't see him, and then all of a sudden boom, a foot comes down and they're running away, something like that. I want him shrouded in darkness and kind of mystery to him too. He's not like, I don't know, just something about it would be so cool. Like a good example is the from Godzilla 2000, that scene when they're in the bridge, and they see Godzilla, they turn on the lights and he like freaks out and starts going after them. Something like that I think would be really cool. That's what I think they should have. But yeah guys, I don't really want to ramble on too much because I don't have much else to say, other than all this. But yeah guys, so what would you do if you had control of this? How would you make him scary? And also, do you like the idea of Godzilla eating people? Personally, I don't like it as like I said, maybe if it happens once by accident, maybe, like the tooth coming and he falls into his mouth, I think that would be interesting, but I don't want him to go into the city and pick up people and eat them. I don't like that idea, but what about you guys? But thank you guys so much for watching though. Please rate, comment, subscribe, give a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Also, if you guys have any ideas, post them down in the comments below. But thank you guys so much for watching again, and Gojira54 out.